Hey everybody, welcome to another one of Samson's Saturday shows. To be like, there's no specific name or anything like that, but it's just me talking to you guys on a Saturday. Today on the docket, we have a film room scheduled on Carter Bryant. Now, it may seem as if we're over indexing on Carter Bryant, but I'll tell you what's happening. Not everybody's going to read my big piece on it. Not everybody's going to listen to the podcast. This is like cross pollination. And it's not like I do like Carter Bryant. However, this helps me kind of get the work that I do, cutting clips and watching these games out to more people. So it's just advantageous to go and do this film room for, I guess, a live audience as well. He's a fun player. I think a lot of like the scouts on him have been like highlight scouting to some degree. You just put his dunks on social media, and obviously people will be like, "Oh, who's that?" But we're gonna start with his closeouts and his ability to kind of like turn the water off while his defense is in motion and to get stops that way. I really like his jumper. Obviously, we'll go through some of the limitations of his game, but I think he's a really fun prospect, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do at the next level. But I do like him. Uh, if you like someone else, we will get to them. I think these Saturday mailbags will largely be for like this prospect scouting. I think film rooms, myself and Trey talk about them more passively without digging. Like we watch the film, but we don't dig into it. And I'll use these Saturday episodes to kind of look in on popular prospects. The first of which, because I've done it with Cooper, we did it with Malwatch as well. I'll do it with Carter, and then next week I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe Jaku, because he seems to be very popular as well. People like him. I know Asenge. I didn't really like him as a prospect that much. Of course, I could be wrong. It's Joe and Schmo over here. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Carter Bryant. And firstly, I guess I'll say, like, if you're interested in any of the Pacers coverage or keeping up with Pascal Siakam's, I guess, 39-point game or anything like that, if you're still a fan of his game, I just finished recording the podcast with Caitlin. Of course, our coverage is as in-depth as it gets on basketball. And it was so fun to dive into the film of Pascal kind of like beating and scoring on so many different Knicks. I think he scored on 6 different Knicks in 6 different ways. OG had nothing for him. As good a defender OG is, and as good as guys like Mikal Bridges are rumored to be. I don't think Mikal is actually that good on defense. He's definitely a positive. Karl-Anthony Towns, I thought, hung in better than people expected, but still didn't go very well. Mitchell Robinson could not deal with him off ball. And I mean, Josh Hart is food, total food. And McBride and Brunson obviously have nothing for him. It was really, really fun to watch that game. And also, like, in our coverage that we did with Knicks Film School, myself and Caitlin, we picked the Pacers to win the series. So did DJ from Knicks Film School, and Benji was Knicks in 7. It's all very much still in play, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. GP Production says Asenge already impacted the game and productive, and he's super young, but the skills are very rudimentary in the half court. Yeah, that's the biggest compliment you can pay Asenge, is that he very clearly is having things and making things happen on the court. A lot of the production does come out of transition, but he's had some games, especially lately, where he's been able to get to the line and create more. I didn't like the tape particularly, but people disagree all the time. Of course, around draft stuff, there is always like, I don't know what it is about draft work or like draft opinions, but it always attracts like really snide, condescending people. And I don't know why. I guess just online conversations in general. But yeah, Asenge, I would love to be wrong about. I said I expected him to go between 13 and 18, but I don't know. I was asked by Thierry Fontaine, cool name. Thierry Fontaine asks, would you take, or Fontaine? I don't know. Anyway, would you take Carter over Malwatch if they're both available at 9? I don't expect Malwatch to be available at 9. I'll be really honest with you. I don't know who I would take in that scenario. I do have to go watch more Malwatch film, because at this point I've done more on Carter. Malwatch I've done a decent amount, but before I answer that question, I think it merits another look at Malwatch, and especially since he was getting tested at the combine and everything like that. But honestly, these types of like predictions, as much as I like doing this kind of film room stuff and talking about these players like this and not being a jackass about it, because yes, it's my opinion, but it's my job to introduce, I think, aspects of these players' games to people, talk about their games and familiarize the audience with them rather than give hot takes just to get views or something like that, or just take really controversial stances. I think what's better is to tell you my opinion, have it be honest and earnest, and have people take away what they want from what they're seeing. So and we'll never have as much as the teams have, because the teams get to put these guys in private workouts, run them through things that they think are predictive for them, and also they get the interview. You know what I mean? They get the interview. I can ask scouts who have talked to these players, who've known these players since they're young, but it's not the same as being in the room. So it's from the computer. Even like teams have online scouts that they have as consultants and stuff like that. I know several of them myself. Those guys don't get final say. They're typically asked to like package together, like, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy? It's just like a small opinion. But the decision makers, they get to talk to the players. They get to put them through stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. ND says, hey, big CMB fan. On a serious note, for some reason, I thought you and Trey did a section on CMB, but I can't seem to find it. We did do a section on CMB. It would be in the thumbnail. I'll find it for you. And but Matt says Noah Senge is 18 and playing against men. He attacks the rim and makes free throws. Yeah, that's like Trey and I didn't really get to discuss that. We mentioned it in passing, but the thing with the Senge is he's not playing in a top. He's not in like a top league in Europe. However, he's in a better league than college basketball. I think a Senge is playing stiffer competition than what Carter Bryant plays against, for example, I think, or any college player. Even in Germany, it's not like the French league or the top French league or anything like that. But Asenge, he's definitely playing against good players. He's playing against men, and he puts production up there. It's meaningful. I do find his athleticism or the fluidity and all that kind of stuff. The same way how people talked about Malwatch and his fluidity, I think it's overstated with Asenge, but I mean, I'd be very happy to be wrong. Many people have said like this is baby Giannis and stuff like that. That's so lofty. And of course, it's like just be lofty, have fun, of course. But CMB fan. Oh, you can hear me. For some reason, I'm talking back and forth to myself. Jesus Lord. Anyway, I'm trying to find that CMB episode for you, ND. But the thing on top of all this, CMB I do really like, by the way. But he is like incredibly funky. But he's Bazooka says trade down for Coward. I did like Coward, although I'm having a tough time kind of like making sense of I guess, who Coward was playing against, because I did see some of the East Washington tape, and that's like what, Division III, and there's only 6 games of Washington State, and maybe if he had gone to Duke, we'd have a better idea of it. But like, man, it's tough. It's tough to make sense of who he's playing against. Although I think the skill set is just like, I think it's just there as far as I see it. But yeah, you never know. The CMB episode, ND, man, I can't find it. It must have been a live episode that we did. Okay. Yeah. From 3 weeks ago, the title ND is the 2025 draft steal plus more. We talked about Asa Newell, Colin Murray Boyles, Con Knipple, Jeremiah Fears, and maybe one other guy. But that's the episode that we did CMB talk on. Okay, we kind of set the stage. GP Production says I don't see CMB as a fit with our squad. Yeah, CMB, there's probably a decent swing for the start of his career, depending on like who selects him, just who he gets to play with, what that looks like. Imagine him on like the Thunder or something. I think he'd be insane on the Thunder, like absolutely incredible. And but I mean, you can't win them all or anything like that. Okay, let's look at the Carter Bryant film. And so basically I guess I'll go look at my piece that I wrote. But Carter Bryant, to give everybody background, he's a very low volume, very low volume player as far as like what he's able to do, what he was able to provide. And the stats are not like going to pop off the page. If you like Carter Bryant, you like the film. You like what you're seeing there. So 6.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 46, 37, 69 shooting splits for a 59% true shooting. He only played 19 minutes per game. His measurements were 6'6.5" without shoes, a 6'11.75" wingspan, 215 pounds, 8'10" standing reach, 30.5" no step vertical, 39.5 max vert. Okay. Uh, Bazooka says, I just watched Hoop Intellect scouting report on him. Everyone is high on that jumper. Yeah, I really like the jumper from the moment I saw it. We'll look at his jumpers, and I did have a breakdown of it in the piece that I wrote. But okay, let's get into some film, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk about his closeouts because I think he is really good at putting out fire. So we'll open it up here. So basically, what we're looking at is, I think, one of the most talented movers in the draft. You can see here already, like the way he's able to step out on guys and disrupt things is really impressive. So look at that. He blows up the handoff action, closes back out here, shuts down the play, sits on the spin, blocks him. Like physical, can't get back down. And also keep in mind, he relocates because he does have a bias. He does have a bias towards the rim. So he is a very like paint first, especially for an interior defender, or sorry, and a perimeter defender, all the different roles that, Arizona used him in. He's definitely like has a bias towards the paint, which I like. He's very diligent when he's the tag man, as far as like keeping guys and having a sense of always protecting the rim. He has a bias towards that, which I think is actually like a really, really good. I think that's fantastic. Thierry Fontaine says 6'6" is shorter than I thought. Well, it's 6'6.5", and that's without shoes. So that's, it's always barefoot, but 6'6.5", it's pretty good size for a wing, especially with the way that he moves. But you can see on that play, like the way he's able to jump out, really disrupt and pressure handoffs, recover, close out on guys, keep them in front. Fantastic job. And then also so here, I can't remember what his name is. I think it's Nate Jones, if I remember correctly. Or sorry, Nate Johnson. Akron's number one guy. That is who Carter's matchup is, right? And Tavari Johnson is the point guard who he picks up full court here. And that's something that you'll see. Like you'll see Carter Bryant will pick up guys full court all the time. What's up, Joe? If you're looking for the Raptors or looking at the Raptors, who are a high ball pressure team, they pressure the ball high up the court. They like to get it from their guards. They like to get it from their forwards as well. Carter Bryant was the head of the snake for so much of what Arizona wanted to do when pressuring the ball in the backcourt. On a whim, he picks up Akron's best guard. And then here's what he does, stops the ball, and then he points out the screen, and they're going to switch this, right? Because he wants to guard their best player. That's who he's supposed to be set on. That's what his job is to do. So he picks him up, and then the play is just going to filter through. The ball comes around, seeing man, see ball. He's playing, he's shadowing, he's in the right spot here. He is going to lose sight of the ball, which you don't really want to do. Like he's lost sight of the ball here. He's trying to be predictive. A lot of NBA players do this. So as far as that goes, it's not a huge mistake. But anyway, closes out, controls the closeout, stays in front, sits on the spin, great contest. And this is like, he picks up the ball, slows down the offense, switches off onto the best player after stopping the ball first, right? Has a good closeout after playing in the gaps and shadowing the guard's drive. Closes out on the star player, gets him to settle into a fadeaway mid-range jumper. It's like, that's great. That's a tremendous play for him defensively. And, also like stuff like this, I'm pretty sure this is the clip. This stuff is indicative, I should say, because how a team reacts to their best defender or their best perimeter defender being on ball is important. And they are really comfortable leaving Bryant on an island. And he does bite too hard. Like he is expecting that handoff to come or screen to come. So he's playing him to it. And he leaves himself open to the cross. And he gets beat down and he tries to track him down. He gets scored on. But it's meaningful when you look at like Arizona, they trust Bryant so much to keep the ball in front or to track this down with a rear view contest or a block from behind, a chase down, that like the guy in the corner, for example, he doesn't move an inch and the little man doesn't move an inch. These guys, they're like, Bryant, you are on your own against a guard. This is Oregon as well. This isn't like some mid-major with a guard who, isn't going to be able to burst past anybody. So that's kind of, even on when you're watching this stuff, when a player's getting scored on, even then you can kind of see some things that are like good or bad. And Arizona really trusted him in this space. So this one as well, like this is kind of a little bit sloppy. Like he falls asleep off ball, he loses, and like he's a little bit late recovering out, but it's that ability to or sorry, I just wanted to highlight this as like, because I don't want to do low light scouting or anything like that, but it's just like he's not perfect. He does make mistakes in how he positions himself. He does leave himself sometimes, I guess, exposed as a guy to, sometimes he has to come back and I guess like get himself back into play with his athleticism. ND says, do you think that level of trust is warranted for real? Yeah, at the college level. I mean, like, why not? Why not, right? Let him have the reps. Let him see how it goes. Is that level of trust warranted? Like that somebody should have stepped over. Like those guys didn't look at the player driving. Like that's bad defense. Not like I don't even blame Carter that much. Like he sat on the right hand and he got crossed, but he was close to blocking it. But the guy in the corner didn't move an inch. The low man didn't move an inch. It's trust on one hand, but also it's a little bit of laziness too. Like it's both of those things. So I like, yeah, why not? Why not trust him? Why not see what he can do? Leave him on an island. He's a very talented mover. He's very strong. He's able to wall off guards drives pretty often, and we'll see some of that as well here. So this one, I really love this play. This is fantastic. So we can see him jump out on the ball here, right? Get into this. They're going to try and like set all these screens. He just goes and mauls them. And this ends up in a bucket, by the way. But like you can watch Carter, like he jumps out high, he applies that ball pressure, he switches this kind of stuff, he blows up the action, switches back out, and like he is going to get scored on here. But that's an incredible make. I like the defense there. Like, yeah, he got a little bit with the sweeping cross, but I really like that aggression at the point of attack. And like he was still in the play. He was still in the play. And it's just like man, it's really, really impressive movement. Ajit Singh says, regarding Bryant's height, his measurement without shoes is taller than OG, who was 6.25. Though OG, of course, has a significantly larger wingspan at 7'2" and a quarter. Yeah, I don't know. Like Carter is not a big. He's a forward. And if he's just a forward, I think he has good size. I don't know. Like the hand wringing about his size, I'm like, no, I think he's got the size. He'll be good. I don't worry about it. And then this one too, right? This is what I'm talking about with his bias and his diligence all the time. Like he's the low man, right? That means that when they're running a Spain action, Arizona State is running a Spain action here. That means that they're trying to free up the roller with this back screen. Okay. And they don't really do it properly because they're college kids. And so they're not running Spain perfectly. But Carter is right here. He's in the paint. He is responsible for two players right now in a whole half of the floor. And he's big enough to tag and stick. And then the ball goes out because they're reading it. They're like, he has to cover the whole half of the floor. He climbs over the top, shuts down the closeout, makes him pick up the ball. And then he goes and gets the rebound because he's big enough to go do that. Great play. Let's run it back. I really like that play from Carter. Okay, so low man, keeping track of everything, steps up, takes the rotation that he needs to, shuts down the closeout, keeps the ball in front. And I guess now would be a good time to like, I guess, bring up some numbers as well, because like there's some shooting variance to some degree with Carter's defense. Because, for example, on like spot up threes against Carter Bryant, players shot 28%, and he has very aggressive closeouts. He likes to leap out at it, and I think they shot 47% on twos driving his closeouts. And I mean, it's like it's not. He is a little bit sloppy sometimes jumping out to contest, but he loves jumping out to contest. And also, like, I'm pretty sure guys shot 2 of 17 on pull-up threes against Carter Bryant. He throws a lot of, like, he doesn't have the longest wingspan for his size, but he has a lot of burst, and he has a lot of leaping ability, and he contests with both hands to kind of like make things tougher on guys who want to try and shoot over the top. And we'll see this happen kind of over and over again. But I think he does like a pretty fantastic job of creating a bit of chaos in his closeouts. And then even going forward, I would like more control. Like this play, for example, is an exceptional. He shows exceptional ability to control the floor, basically, in my estimation. He has the low man tag. He makes sure the pass can't go out there. He runs back out to his closeout. He effectively guards two men at once. He slows the play down. The play should have created a way better shot, but his defense created a change. And then you get like this fading baseline midi, and he closes out the possession with a rebound. It's just fantastic. And then also I wanted to highlight this too, because again, when Arizona is running this full court pressure, or at least like zoning up full court pressure, they put Carter Bryant out there. Why? Because he's so athletic and he covers so much ground. And like it's I really like this. And also keep in mind, like the play transitions out of that. And where is he? There's that bias again, right? He's making sure that easy pocket pass that Jakob Poeltl scores, or that, a million points on, that he can't get that, right? And then this one, okay, close out, find the angle. And he actually blocked that. I know you can't see that, but he blocks this shot. So this is not an easy play. Like he's covering a lot of ground because the low man, the dropper, actually created way too big a lane. He made it a super easy pocket pass that would have been made had Carter not come down to tag and get that rotation. Then that's an open three, which he has to close out to. He closes out to the side so that he can create an angle to burst back into the play, take off the angle to the rim, and he actually gets a piece of that, man. He blocked that, and this goes out of bounds. But like, hell yeah, Carter. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. And then also we can go into this stuff here, this is more of like, I guess, defense highlight scouting, because some of this is defensive playmaking. Like this is him being at the nail, or this is, steals and blocks and stuff like that. But this play I like a lot. So again, that's Akron's, like that's their number one guy, right? Johnson. He's a senior. He scores the most points. He almost leads them in assists. Chase him around the screen, gets back into it. Good defense here from their big. These two also are able to perform veer back switches together. And that's where you switch onto the roller mid possession. And it's extremely important to be able to do that at the NBA level. Carter not only has the quickness and the recognition to be able to do this, but he has the size, right? So he sticks on Akron's star player, chase him around a screen. Then we're going to fast forward, and look, he's the low man. There's a backdoor cut. Bam. Pins it off the glass. That's the utility. I know, like we were talking about his size, for example, but that's the utility of what he's able to provide here, is that he can chase their star player around screens. He can stick in front of guys, and you can also just sit him as the low man, and he'll pin stuff off the glass, right? So here's Duke, and boom. That's Carter Bryant. Why is the ball loose? Because he's one pass away on Knipple, and he's able to manage that. Like he's the strong side dig man, and they probably wanted Knipple to come open there, but Carter is so good and so big in that space that he's able to dig in and get the steal. Off we go the other way. This one too. Oh, so yeah, VJ Edgecombe, like he's going to step up on VJ, right? And that's what I like about Carter too, is that, it's kind of what I talked about with Cedric Howard, is that it was tough to, like, I really like Cedric Howard's film. I love him as a shooter. I think he'll shoot it very well at the NBA level. And he has like really funky and intriguing measurements. That wingspan is very, very large for his size. Not quite like Rasheer Fleming, but I really like that there's tape of Carter on guys like Cooper Flagg. There's tape of Carter on Con Knipple. There's tape of Carter on VJ Edgecombe, right? So you get to see kind of like, these guys are all going to the NBA. These guys are all top 10 picks. And like considered like VJ Edgecombe, many people, I really like VJ for what it's worth. Many people consider him like top 3. They think he has all NBA upside. Cooper Flagg, obviously. Con Knipple is like an unbelievably good college guard. And I think he'll be very, very solid at the NBA level. And so, although I haven't seen enough of Con to be like, to determine whether I think there's all-star upside. But anyway, he steps out on VJ. VJ absorbs the drive, right? Okay, here's a wild closeout, by the way. This second one. but he hangs in because he's a quick jumper, because he's a good athlete, right? So not only does he shut down VJ's drive, but VJ tries to relocate and he's present in the lane in case that other guy wanted to turn the corner, but closes out. And I maybe would have liked him to close out. Like generally, you want the guy to close out to maybe his right hand, but he has help on the right side, so he closes out to the left side, which is good because then he's able to his teammate is able to step in the gap. Then he absorbs the step back and the push, and just explodes right out of it. Like that's really good athleticism. That's really impressive. And then sits on that and just turns around and slaps the ball, gets a block. You know what I mean? And so Bazooka says, I would take Khan over Bryant if he were there or if he were available at 9. Yeah, I think a lot of people would. Me doing this work on Bryant doesn't mean like I think he's the pick. He's the pick. He has to be the pick. But I've watched a lot of film on him, and I think he deserves to be highlighted. This one, too, we're just going to let it play. Like, he's just physical and explosive on the outside, right? Like, this is, and again, I know people make the OG reference. I don't like, it's, comparison is the thief of joy, but this is an OG and an OB play. And OG, of course, would go on probably to like miss that layup in transition or something like that. This play too, right, is like this is the bias towards the rim as well. They're going to run split action, right? They're going to see what they can get. Wisconsin, they're going to run split action. And Carter drops out of it because he's like, I have to protect the rim. I don't want to give anybody an edge. And so that means that 25 here wants to get to the corner because they think they're going to be able to take advantage of something. Carter just squashes that, absorbs it, has to chase around, right? Absorbs it. The ball moves on, and it'll actually come back around. And so he fights over the flare screen there. And he's again, like he was low man, right? He's protecting the paint, and then he's stepping back out. And that's something I'd like to see get a little bit better, is that he did die on the screen a little bit, but that's a tough screen to navigate. Like, especially when the guy's going directly into the shot, his big probably needed to be a little bit higher, but it's a miss anyway. So, it is what it is. This one too, again, what are we seeing? He's protecting. He's the low man. What is his job? The roller is wide open. Look how far out. Carter has to be there, and he is. So he dissuades the pass from going there. Then he climbs it. Then he closes out, right? And then he creates that turnover, just jumps his man. So not only does he take away the roll, which would have been like this fantastic opportunity for Houston, and Houston's a great team. Well, I mean, obviously we know that. And then jumps out, boom, picks his pocket. It's really impressive work here. This one too has to chase over the top, right? Not his best. The angle he took wasn't that great. He's behind the play, but his athleticism, what happens? Gets him back into it, blocks him from behind. That's the thing, is like guys like Carter Bryant, and here's another good like impromptu double, just jumped his guy, gets out. Like this stuff is really good. Really happy with it. That one you can see like Con Knipple, he's going to try and drive. So Carter, who's in the middle of the floor there, is going to pop over and make sure that he tags the roll man so that his big could stay on Con if he gets wide. And so Carter drops into the bottom of all of that kind of stuff. And still, he jumps out and blocks the three-point shot. This is the utility of his athleticism. It is really, really impressive work here. Of course, he has lowlights. Like he's not the best defender I've ever watched tape of, but he's good. I think a lot of this stuff will translate to the next level. This one too chases around. Like it's just the thing. Like even if you get a step on him, if you don't know how to change speeds, like this isn't perfect screen navigation, and it's not even that great a screen, but he gets a little bit over eager trying to jump him to keep him up above the break, and he loses a step, but he pivots so quick, and then he hangs with him, boom, smashes out of bounds. Again, VJ Edgecombe guarding him at the point of attack. They switch the screen, hedge and recover, or sorry, no, they don't switch the screen. They hedge and recover, right? And it's that bias towards the big. And this is a misread by VJ because the low help was not very good. I don't think like VJ just missed this read, but Carter jumps over, absorbs it. It's just hanging on those guys and being able to absorb their closeouts, I think is like really good. Even this one, like the way he's able to like he's just crowding guys and recovering, crowding. Look at that. Dig. It's of course the end of the quarter, but yeah, he's just able to dig in and make stuff happen. Look at this. So this is not an easy closeout at all. Cosmo says VJ lacks confidence in his handle. Yeah, that is the thing he has to improve the most. I agree with that. But like, look at this footwork. Just, man, this is really fluid. This is really nice. Look at that. Absorbs the drive. Plays the angle perfectly. Gets it. We have a jump ball. Really, really fun stuff. That's the I liked that a lot. I had a really fun time watching his film on defense. And I guess that's the end of the defense film. I mean, we've been going for 30 minutes already. But yeah. So the numbers, just for anybody, is so Bryant, when he guarded the threes at Arizona, players shot 27% on catch and shoot threes. They shot 10% on pull-up threes that he was guarding. And it is because he throws a lot of size, athleticism out there, and yeah, makes it happen. Stefan Vita says Noah had another good game in the playoffs today. Yeah, that was the 13 free throws one. I talked about that at the top. Oh, he had 14 points. Nice. Yeah, Noah produces. He definitely produces. But I guess we can just do like the fun.
Trying to go viral.
Oh, I guess we shouldn't have the audio on because I think college, like this whole episode might get copyright strike because colleges are so, even though this is like fair use. This is transformative in nature, of course, because this is analysis and commentary. But I think college clips are always, it's tough to get the clearance for them. But anyway, he just has like a lot of pop. We'll watch the dunks really quick. And he's a 1 foot jumper and a 2 foot jumper. He can get up and he can also cover a lot of distance. It's parts like the horizontal and vertical pop of his athleticism. I love that cut. I love that finish. This play in particular is going to be available as a Toronto Raptor because what is this? This is just split action, baby. And Jakob Poeltl has made this read a million times. And imagine running this with like Grady Dick or something like that, man. Just imagine. That's going to be there all the time. And then this one too. Look at this. I love this play because they have to step up. This is the Pacers do this all the time with Obi Toppin, for example. And so, like, let's say, imagine this guard is Tyrese Halliburton. Imagine it's, Miles, one of Miles or Pascal. And so what happens is if you have to step up to meet the guy on the short roll, you can trigger that little back screen, right? And man, you can just run a guy like Carter at the rim and he can just slam that home. It's just really good. It's like it's a read that the team knows that they can get to. He's pointing. He's like, hell yeah, dude. Excellent work. Cosmo says, how much do you buy those guarded stats by defenders? Feels finicky, especially for a 1 year college sample with a guy that barely played a ton of minutes. Yeah, I wrote this. I'll just read what I wrote in the piece. But like to be clear, I watched all of this. I watched all of this. So I'm giving you the numbers that Synergy tracked. But I also, if you trust my analysis, if you don't, that's fine. But I went and watched all of this. So like he is creating an effect on some of these, but not all. Let's see. What did I write here? I said, I listed the stats, of course, and I said, sometimes guys just make or miss shots. I watched every shot that went up, and while I do think he throws a lot of length and vertical pop into his contests, I can't say with confidence that he'll crater 3-point percentage at the next level. And I can't. And honestly, like the thing is with this stuff is that most of NBA defense doesn't work on trying to create like missed threes. It's about trying to, I guess, limit threes. Like contests are good and contests overall are good, but as far as like 3-point percentage on the whole over a season, it's really hard to like depend on that. And by player, it's really hard to depend on that. I think Chris Boucher has an actual effect over the years, but Chris Boucher has traded that dip in 3-point percentage for the amount of 5-on-4 opportunities he's given players who pump and go. And that's like playing 5-on-4 is not easy. And credit to Chris, who like he gets back into the play eventually, but under control closeouts are pretty great. And Carter, despite liking to jump, he really does like to pursue guys in that way. I think that he's done. He clearly has the capacity, and some of it I've shown in the film here today. He clearly has the capacity to control a closeout and keep the ball out front. Even though he does like to jump at 3-point shooters. It is really part of this. Cosmo says, okay, you watching it makes me feel better about it. I will never, there's, I didn't, a lot of the Carter Bryant write-ups quickly done by media will be like just reiterating NBA draft.net. There's a reason my Carter piece is like 1,700, 1,800 words with film in it. I don't talk about guys if I haven't watched them. And that's why I'm slowly working my way through it. But I can be wrong about things, of course, and I'm just a guy. But I promise you, as the listener, as the viewer, I watch these guys, and I'm giving you honestly what I see on tape. I'll never give you a stat without having watched that stuff. Really, it's just, and if I do give you a stat, I'll couch it in like maybe I haven't seen it, or I'll always qualify that. But if I'm saying a stat is indicative or something, I've definitely watched it to see. That is the roots of my work is watching like an insane amount of film. And it doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I'm honest. You know what I mean? Again, this audio, we need this out of here. This one I just cut together some of his triples because honestly, the closeout stuff, you can go watch Carter's highlights and you'll see a lot of these jumpers that are made. In addition to that, like you'll see the dunks, but probably in the highlight packages, it's not going to be like a lot of like closeout technique and that kind of stuff and forcing missed shots. Like it'll be like steals and blocks. So you can go watch that stuff on your own and make of it what you will. But yeah, ND says thoughts on a Keegan Murray comp for Carter. Man, Keegan's bigger, and I think Keegan is not as smooth a mover. If like Keegan covers up more space and like keeps himself wide, but I don't think he's nearly as nimble as Carter is. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm. But Keegan is bigger. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Although Keegan, I've not seen that much stuff from him lately. Honestly, I didn't watch that much Sacramento this year. Cosmo says Keegan was a lot more productive in college on ball. Oh yeah, like Keegan. Like that's the thing about Carter is, what did I say at the start of the piece I wrote, right? Like Carter Bryant has been all the what the hell is it? Yeah. Carter Bryant has been all the rage lately as his highlights have enamored fans across the league. He's been rising up draft boards and might well be in play for a lottery team, maybe even for the Raptors. It sounds scary for them to use their 9th overall pick, an extremely important pick, on a player who played 19 minutes per game and scored 6.5 points per game in his freshman year of college. However, it's a possibility. And then I say, so here's the quick numbers to scare everyone off before I try and sell you on this young man. So that's kind of like, yeah, that's where we're at with that. Carter, like there is a bit of a scare factor, but when I watch the film and I see what he's able to do, I think a lot of it translates to the NBA. And of course, I can be wrong. Man, there's a lot of Noah conversation in the chat. Yeah, the Noah stuff, he gets stats, man. He definitely gets stats. But Black Nubian says Devin Booker didn't play much either. That's such a good, like a funny thing, because somebody messaged me, or not messaged, replied to my tweet and was like, what did Arizona know that we don't? Like, why would we think a guy who only plays 19 minutes? And I was like, Devin Booker played like 21 minutes per game behind a Harrison brother. You know what I mean? And they went 13th and they became like a very clear all NBA player. And, coaches don't always get it right. And of course, like appealing to that authority is fine. And I would never blame anybody for having qualms about Carter Bryant. That's why I'm just like showing you the film and showing you like what I like. And that's just what it is. Donkey says, why did he only play 19 minutes per game despite being good enough to be a lottery pick? Was it his team's depth? Honestly, I haven't talked to anybody at Arizona. Maybe I could talk to Zach. I know he went there, but I mean, I JD Hunt says, did Arizona know something or did they want to keep him from leaving? I mean, geez, I don't know. That's like politics, but as far as like Carter, I don't know the answer to that. And like I'm being honest with you guys, like I if Carter gets drafted to the Raptors, or if I start hearing stuff whispered about, I always put it on the podcast. Like if you go listen to the like draft time podcasts around like there's always like little nuggets of like, ooh, the Raptors think this or the Raptors think that. It just doesn't get aggregated, which is nice actually. So there's not a lot of pressure on what I say here. But if I hear something, you'll hear it on the podcast. But I don't know any of the politics of Carter. When I watch his defensive film, like, yeah, sometimes he is like when I think about what a coach would punish defensively, right? When I think about what would get a player in trouble, Carter does not do a lot of that. Like even in the film, right? Like I'm showing like he's making the proper rotations. He is a diligent and responsible low man. He tags properly, he rotates properly. There are some mistakes, but like he's a college player and like the college players make mistakes all the time. Seniors make mistakes all the time. I don't see the mistakes happening as far as like I don't see the mistakes happening that would get him yanked off the floor. And I don't, I offensively, he sometimes I think is like just not into it enough. Like maybe the offense is what's keeping him off the floor. Because again, 6.5 points, but he does like the weak side exchange. He cuts. I don't think his cutting is actually like very impressive. That's the big swing factor that I think would perhaps make him like a potential all-star player in the future. Is if Carter Bryant becomes somebody who, similar to another big forward from Arizona, Aaron Gordon, who never figured out the shot. If he figured out how to use his mobility and strength to cut and dominate smalls and stuff like that, and maybe add a little bit of screen craft so that he can be a funky little, so that he could be a funky little like screener, like as we're seeing in the Pacers Knicks series or even Thunder Wolves is like, J-Mac is screening, Pascal is screening, but so is Aaron Nesmith, right? Mikal Bridges is screening. It's not just Biggs who screen. So Carter can add a whole bunch of value if he works on that stuff, but he didn't do a bunch of it at college. But I think he's a little bit passive as a screener, especially like we watched that one play where they run a split action and he just like zooms through the gap, catches and punches it home. Cutting with that intensity and that intention, I think could really elevate a lot of what he does. And on a bigger college floor, I think there's potential there for that. But I don't think he had like perfect reads as a cutter. Maybe that's what the frustration was. He's also very limited with his handle. Like he wasn't able to take closeouts and convert them with drives. He wasn't an impressive driver or anything like that. His handle is limited. That's another huge swing. Handle, some guys really develop it. I've talked to a couple people who've been watching Carter for like years. One guy been around says that Carter is like known as like a real workhorse in the gym, expects him to develop that stuff. But again, like this could just be someone who's like close and likes him and is like, yeah, he's going to make it. So, and I'm not like a professional draft guy, so I can't vet this stuff at the same level, right? I do like some of the Raptors stuff I can vet, but I don't know Carter Bryant and his team and everything like their sphere of influence. I have no goddamn idea, no clue. But yeah, his handle and his motion, really, those are the two things. But let's watch the jumper because I do believe in the jumper. So this play is just like hitting a jumper over a closing out Cooper flag. And why is he able to hit this jumper? Because he has his pickup point isn't super low. He has lift on his jumper and he finishes high. He's a big for those types of mechanics. Like that one too. Really good. Finish high. Bang. This one. Conca nipple. Too small. Finish high. Bang. It's just this one too. Finish high over a big. Bang. And like his mechanics are really clean too. Like the feet are good. Up top looks really good to me. He seems really coordinated on connecting his lower half a lot of the time. The pull-ups overall, including like the middies and his 3-point, he shot 43% on all of his pull-ups at Arizona. He shot 46% on his unguarded threes. Like he I I said it after Trey and I watched the first however much, and also like, man, I'll play the film again. But I said it, I think after, and like there's a lot of great shooters who don't get shots. And so you can't be the best shooter from your draft if you don't play and you don't take shots. And Carter Bryant has the size to shoot over closeouts, like guards closing out. Carter Bryant has the size to keep getting his shot up. And Carter Bryant, I mean, I think he'll be a good enough shooter to be, like, justify getting those shots and taking those shots. And I think by like year 4 or 5, Carter Bryant will be looked at as one of the best shooters from this draft at the NBA level. Of course, there'll be like a handful of guys who shoot better than him, but they can't get on the floor, and they shoot better than him, but they can't get their shot off. And Carter, I think, just like when in a few years, when you look at how much volume he has, how many times he's gotten it up, the percentage from the floor, I think he's going to be seen as one of the most effective shooters from this draft class. Now, that is like a little bit of this is a leap, but it's draft scouting. You have to try, you have to be predictive, or attempt to be, at least in some regard. Matt says Trey Johnson, and Con says hi. Yeah, that's why I said one of the best. There's, at no point am I saying he's going to be the best shooter from the draft. I don't think that's realistic. One of the best, which I think is whether you agree with it or not, that's fine. But I don't think he'll shoot better than Trey Johnson or Con. Those guys are really fantastic shooters. We talked about Con a little bit, not enough. We actually do have to, Trey and I have to do like an actual Con talk, I think. And we talked about Trey Johnson. We both really love Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson, I really like as a prospect. He rules, but I really don't think Trey will be available at 9. Yeah, man, I don't know. ND says, from the Raps' point of view, he could instantly make us massive. BI him, Scotty, and Yak is massive. Yes. And it's also like kind of what, like it depends on what you envision Brandon Ingram doing defensively. But if those guys are all sharing the floor, Carter Bryant is guarding the 2. And part of why I really like that Carter is able to veer back switch, and I think that Carter will be able to peel switch, and I think that he does take to defensive concepts pretty quickly, is that if he is playing with guys like Brandon Ingram and Scotty for the future, probably what's going to happen is a lot of peel switching, where like if Carter is going to be playing against smaller players because he's athletic and he has great foot speed and he's able to stick with them, if he gets beat, Ingram steps into a gap, for example, and Carter peel switches, shoots out into the corner, and they just send out a lot of length and shut down driving lanes and cover the floor that way. They shrink the floor. I think that's potential for them offensively. And obviously, Scotty has done this as a Raptor, like when he was playing with, Pascal and OG. They did this kind of stuff. They had next rotations, and they also had peel switching, veer back switching as well. It's just, I think Carter will be able to do this stuff in the next level, and I think it fits really well with, where the NBA is going defensively. The big swings, obviously, though, and where Carter could be like a very forgettable player is if the threes don't go in at the level. Like, I think he'll shoot like a certain percentage and it'll be fine. But if it doesn't become like good and nice, if he doesn't move with a lot of intention, if he isn't like an effective cutter, if he doesn't learn any of the screen craft, if he doesn't use his athleticism and his motion to reward this kind of stuff, and if he doesn't develop a handle, if he doesn't develop, then it's not going to look great. But I do really like the defensive tape for Carter. They put him in a bunch of different roles, and I showed that on the tape, right? Like, he's doing a lot of different things. He's the low man. He gets weak side blocks. He's attentive as an off-ball defender. He protects the bottom half of the defense. He puts out fires as a guy closing out. He's aggressive and strong as a dig, and then also stepping out on the closeouts if a guy passes out when he forces the ball loose. He chases guys off ball. He picks up guys full court. He'll go and step out on, a lead ball handler, a guard. I don't know if that'll be as tenable at the NBA level as it was in college, but I like the tape, man. And of course, anyone can agree or disagree. Everyone likes certain prospects and doesn't like others, but yeah. Cosmo says, I have no clue what this switching jargon is. You know what? Let's explain what the switching jargon is. We can do that right now. So the audio quality is going to be a little bit worse because I'm going to be drawing on the board, but we can explain switching jargon. So let's draw it up, people. Okay, so a veer back switch, and we would have seen. I'm actually not sure if I put a veer back switch in the film, but he has done it. Basically, like a pick and roll, right? The ball handler is coming down. Oh, you can't really see. The pick and roll, ball handler is coming down. You're chasing, right? And the big is right here, let's say, and here's the rolling big. You can see that? Yeah. Red is not the best. It should have been black, maybe. Anyway, so a veer back switch is where the big takes the ball handler and the player on ball takes the big. And Carter Bryant can recognize this mid-possession. It's mostly up to the big, but he also has the size to transition to the big, box them out, and make sure that if a shot goes up, they don't take advantage. And he also protects the roll. So that kind of stuff is really important. Now, peel switch is where you're switching to the corner. So a peel switch, for example, is let's say you're right here. Let's say it's like you have a help defender in the corner here. A peel switch is, let's say the ball handler gets ahead of you. The defender in the corner is going to meet him here. The shooter over here is going to be covered by the guy who was on ball. That's a peel switch, okay? These were become really popular in the NBA now. They were more popular in Europe. This is the stuff I love talking about with Darko. And a next rotation is like a peel switch, mostly up the floor. But let's imagine you have a defender right here, right? The pick and roll is running right here. He turns the corner on the pick and roll. The big man is still going to be right here and drop, but this player is going to move and pick up the ball right here. And the guy who is guarding the ball handler initially is going to come and guard this player here, this shooter. Now, the offensive response to a lot of these things is to trigger cuts and take advantage of these things. Like, let's say if there's a next rotation, like this guy comes here, right? Anyway. I'm sure you guys don't mind waiting for me to erase things. So it's a next rotation and you want to beat the next rotation. It requires being diligent off ball and moving. So the next rotation comes and meets the ball right here. The guy who is on ball has to get over to this man, right? And there's a drop defender here. How do you do all this? You cut against it, a 45 cut. And you have to sequence these things all at the right time to hit the pass pocket to make sure that you can take advantage of this stuff. A smiley face. There you go. So that's some of the jargon. That's some defensive stuff at the NBA level. That's what some of the switching terminology means. So I'm sure I've done this before, but I'm sure a lot of you guys actually learned something there. So this stuff is all done at the NBA level all the time. And they don't actually highlight this stuff on broadcast very often. So although Paul Jones sometimes, although he doesn't use a lot of the defensive vernacular, Paul Jones will use a lot of the offensive vernacular. Cosmo says, okay, I get it now, but I'm not necessarily sure of the naming conventions. I mean, like the Raptors run or used to run a lot of hammer plays. That's named after Darvin Ham. The Spain pick and roll, which we actually saw a film of, and Carter was excellent guarding out of that. The Spain pick and roll is named after the Spain national team and Sergio Scariolo. Even though they didn't invent it, they popularized it. At the NBA level, it's called stack. It's different naming conventions for different things. But peel switch, nexting, that's typically what those are called conventionally across the NBA. Offensive play calls have more variety, of course. But yeah. And then also, I guess, yeah, like offensively, there's like Zoom and Chicago are the same play. Just depends on who's running it. These are like colloquialisms or are known colloquially. But yeah, that's kind of but peel switching and nexting is and veer back is those are pretty uniform. But that's what they are. If you notice it during a game, say hell yeah, tweet at me on Twitter and be like, "Hey, I just saw it." But ND says, "Sorry, I'd really appreciate if you answered my zone question." Oh, okay, I'll go look for it. Sorry, there's oh, here we go. Okay. With zone becoming really popular, is there any way you try and see how college players could impact the zone? Like, could they be a high level part or just a participant? Uh, that's a good question. I don't expect zone to be so popular. Like, for example, in the ECF, the Knicks ran no zone this past year, like none. Just a little bit. They ran a 1-3-1 out of a couple baseline out of bounds plays and stuff like that. And like the pace, for example, the reason why zone isn't so prevalent is because the Pacers were really bad against zone during the regular season, for example. And I know this very intimately because I cover that series or that team very intimately with Caitlin Cooper. And I actually discussed this at the front end of a Saturday mailbag podcast. But the Pacers were a bad zone team. And against zone, the whole regular season, Pascal had not 7 paint points. He had 7 paint touches the whole season. Now, what happened is like the Cavs ran zone and it worked for one game. And then the Pacers solved it and scored in the next 2 games 1.9 points per possession and 1.5 points per possession against the zone and killed the zone. And Cleveland has a strong zone because they have Mobley and Allen. And what they did effectively is they screened the hell out of Mobley at the top end. And if they don't run Mobley or Allen at the top end, they don't have enough size. And when they didn't, they played ping pong around with Donovan Mitchell. And they also stole a play. I highlighted this in the past. They stole a play from Darko's playbook. If you go look at, well, that episode, of course, but if you go look at the Grady video essay I did early on in the season, I highlight a play where they used a zone buster where Scotty sets a flare on the outside of the zone, touches middle, and Grady cuts against the zone at the same time. They got a layup out of it. The Pacers stole that play, run it with Tyrese and Pascal, and obliterated the Cavs with it. So projecting zone, I don't like, or trying to be good at zone. I don't think it's a consideration or a worry. If there was because truthfully, when it comes down to it, I know it seems like zone asks players to like cut at the right time or like play the space properly. But truthfully, I think it's easier to do that stuff against zone than it is against man because seeing the response of the defense against man actually triggers cuts as well. It like basketball seems like it's more random, but there is a lot of planned and scripted cuts. It's like, okay, if the guy steps up here, like what I said against like the next rotation, we're spilling everything. But what I said is like, if there's a next rotation, this is what triggers it. This is how you beat it. Every NBA player knows that. Every NBA player knows that. Most NBA players can recognize that, trigger that cut, and make that cut. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that trigger. There's a lot of things like NBA players are making a lot more reads than we think. It comes across as kind of like this, it's just flow, man. And NBA players, they don't care to talk about it, really. That's why probably like people like myself and Caitlin who actually go and say what's happening because I mean, you can talk about like made shots, rebound battle, like why are they playing drop? That kind of stuff is more popular analysis, but there's a lot of actually like more in-depth stuff and players are constantly toggling reads and decisions nonstop. It's why Ben Mathurin, despite his immense talent, is didn't play in the back end. He's a 6th overall pick. He's Indiana's highest overall pick in like a million years, and he's not playing. In he's just not playing. And it's because he hasn't been able to read the floor. He's not triggering the correct cuts. He's not playing off of that stuff. Players have to be able to make reads. So I don't think it's like specific to, it's a good question though, Andy, but I don't think it's specific to zone, but it is, you're hitting at something that is very important, is like what players make reads. And I said this on the podcast with Trey, was that I in particular thought that like Carter, if the Raptors don't like the interview, and like when they ran Grady through the workouts and put Grady in like 3-on-2 and 4-on-3 situations, and Grady kept making like the right read, kept making all of those reads and check downs and everything. They're like, nice, he really reads the floor well. Of course, Grady has to develop other things, but he does read the floor rapidly. Scotty reads the floor rapidly. If Carter doesn't, I wouldn't draft him. But I don't get to know that because I don't get to put Carter Bryant through a workout. It's really important for players to be able to read the floor. It's a really great indicator of what they're able to do. And Carter does it better on defense than he does it on offense. I don't know what that says, but I'd like to see it happen on offense all the time. Cosmo says, I was going to say basketball seems very random, lol, and I feel like these sets are only ran out of timeouts and some after a made basket. No, because like almost every play, almost every like sets, yes, where it's like linking and coordinating and like daisy chaining like 4 actions together. That's true, yes. But there are reads that players know are coming, know are happening, and there's a screen on every single play, whether it's on ball or off of it. And players know how they're supposed to guard that. They know if a player does this, then they're supposed to do that. You know, they know if a player does X, you have to do Y. And sometimes like it can go off script or it can go on script, but players, some like there's some interpretive stuff, of course, like a player like the Danny Green cut, for example, like cutting behind the drive. That's pretty unique, but it, you know, that wasn't like a read that every player was making. And, you know, sometimes it is interpretive, random, but the structure and what players have in their brain about how they're supposed to move, what decisions they're supposed to make is really important on both sides of the floor. That's also why the Knicks are getting absolutely shellacked in Karl Anthony Towns minutes, is because he's making bad reads as a defender. And it just is what it is. He's been inconsistent. Cosmo says, what made them choose Jacoby over Keyshawn George? I get why they chose Grady over Kobe Buffkin. I mean, Jacoby, they didn't think would be there. And so they just snapped him up when they saw he was there, because they're like, holy hell, because they had him high on their draft board. Which is also why I think they probably would take Fears if he was available at 9. They like Fears. Allegedly. So what made... And yeah, Jacoby, I mean, like somebody else said, Bazooka says Jacoby was projected top 5 at the beginning of that college season. He was never supposed to fall to 19. That's correct. Yeah, Jacoby was one of the highest rated prospects coming out of college. He had 28 points in his first college game ever. He went absolutely ballistic. And then he struggled like immensely down the stretch. But yeah, allegedly, I don't know anything. I don't know anything, dude. Yeah, that's they like Jacoby, and they were surprised he was there, and so they were like, talent, let's get it. And Jacoby has been a little bit different at the NBA level than I might have suspected, but yeah, we've been talking for a while. I think that's probably it. That's the podcast. I think we did the film, we did the podcast. I think that's probably about it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, so much for tuning in. Make sure to like the video before getting out of here. It helps spread to other people who maybe they want to learn about veer back switch or Carter Bryant's closeout defense, or the fact that he has a bias towards the bottom end of the defense, which is good, and all that kind of stuff. And maybe they'll like the dunks and the threes. I don't know. Or maybe they just want to hear whatever the hell else I have to say. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps me immensely and the channel immensely. And that's about it. Okay. We have a couple questions about Danny Wolf and Jaku. Matt, I said I would probably do a film the same way I did on Carter. I'll probably do a film review on Jaku. Trey and I haven't discussed him much. I'm late to him. Although I also heard that the Raptors like Jaku. Allegedly. This stuff, who knows, right? But yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. If you like the video, thank you very much. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps. It helps. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I'll get out of here. Whether you got into this in the morning or at night, have a blessed day and goodbye.